Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
132 in Bush, I've got him at gunpoint. Check the left phone for going to full evacuation at this time.
They're pulling them out.
911. Advise ready for escape.
To another episode of War Stories, I'm Tom.
And I'm Chuck.
And I'm a little weirded out. You're on the wrong side of the screen. You know what I mean? Like,
Weird.
I'm used to you being on the other side. And so when I was looking at where you were supposed to be and you weren't there, what's up?
Not much. Just getting on, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't eat a whole can of chicken, by the way. For those who are ever, bought chicken from the store, the canned chicken.
I would argue don't ever eat a can of chicken.
Hey, it's got like 90 grams of protein, and I don't know how that's possible because it looks like one chicken breast in there, but whatever. And make sure you check the expiration date because it'll fuck you up.
It's the freaking jizz they add to it, that liquid or whatever.
Honestly, I don't understand how a can of chicken can have like 80 grams, 70 grams, whatever of protein in it. I'm like, it's one chicken breast.
The only thing I use the chicken in a can for is buffalo chicken dip. That's it. But this is not a cooking show. So
when I run out of money, I eat that.
Yeah, right. When I run out of money, when in my younger days, I ate ramen like everybody else.
Yeah,
so we have
sodium.
Yeah. We are back. This is another. Well, it's weird. It's like
they're not going to know that.
They're not going to know that. Yeah, we were off last week, which is nice because we have the episodes in the can. Like we have things in advance, which is why we record early. Which is why you always hear us talking about the War Stories interviews are always recorded ahead of time. This interview that we are recording, I'm excited about it, but I know you're excited about it as well for different reasons. I know Chuck always gets a little more excited when our guest is also a Marine.
Yeah.
Because they have that secret like telepathy that Marines have. And I love that for you. I love it when you get to have your Marine buddies on the show.
Honestly, I think it's just because we all go through like the same training at the beginning. It's
called trauma bonding.
It's not one of us is different. I mean, once you get to your MOS, of course, you're different specialties and things like that. But at the core, you're all the same, right? You look at the Army and the fucking all these other branches, and like the Army is a big one. Army, you'll go to basic, but you'll be doing jack shit over here where you're getting the shit kicked out of you over here at Benning. It's like, Relax in Jackson, Fort Benning. It's two totally different beasts. So it's like one guy's, oh yeah, I'm going to be a main sighter, or I'm going to be that's what the Marine Corps calls it, but like an admin pogue or whatever. I mean, I'm a pogue, but admin bitch or whatever. And then they're going to go, the other one's going to go to the infantry. Two totally different, backgrounds or two totally different trainings. You go to the Marine Corps and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go to admin and I'm going to go to infantry. It's the same basic. It's the same everything up until School of Infantry. School of Infantry then gets split into MCT, and then you go to ITB, Infantry Training Battalion, and then it's just completely different from there. But
it's all trauma bonding.
Yeah, it's cool. So I know this guy's awesome.
Shit. And so who is our guest, Chuck?
So we have Jason Morrison. Jason, he's a writer, he's an author, he's an inventor, he's a gunfighter, and he's a meanderer. I like that. Yeah, meandering about. That's cool. He spent the first 18 years of life in the jungles. As I got to talk to him, he was there. I guess his family did a bunch of missions and things like that. And he went to the Marine Corps, and he was in special operations of the Marine Corps. He was a team leader and in the recon forces, and then he worked for the State Department.
Oh, so he did spook shit.
Yeah.
Well,
can't talk about that,
Jason.
Well, I didn't work for the State Department directly. I was like, I was a nerd herder, So
right,
like the state guys. Well, when the war kicked off in Iraq, I come to find out later that the SecDef told the Department of State guy, like, all right, we're done. See you later. Have a good time. And they were like, whoa, you can't pull all the military out. They're like, oh, it's State Department's job now to transition and country.
You're like, hell, we can't.
And so anyway, they shit their pants and they hired a bunch of former special operations types to guard their nerds, and that's how I got into it anyway. But
guarding
that
nerds.
was fucking crazy though. I saw more
Guard the nerds.
Well, okay, so that I have a funny guarding nerd story, I guess. A friend of mine, he had graduated high school a couple of years before me, and he joined the Marine Corps. And then another friend of mine who graduated around the same time did not, but he was thinking about it after, like, for college and stuff like that at one point. And so he took the ASVAB and he tested for military intelligence, right? And they're like, "Oh, do you want to go into military intelligence?" And so he was thinking about it, and he hangs out with our other buddy who did join the Marine Corps. And they're getting drunk, and he says, "Yeah, I'm thinking about joining because they want me to join military intelligence." And he's like, "Oh, cool, we could work together." And he's drunk as shit, and he goes, "Yeah, you'd have to protect me." And he goes, "Well, until I'd have to kill you." And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "I'd protect you, and then if the base gets overrun, I'm gonna kill you." And he's like, "Are you fucking serious?"
That's an asset.
Yeah.
Bro. That's all in enemy hands. It's like smashing a hard drive.
Yeah. And just a human hard drive. Oops.
Yeah,
So
sorry,
he-
not too much.
That was
Your
the
government
moment,
property.
it was that at that moment he decided that he did not want to work for military intelligence.
I'm going to the Air Force. That's
Yeah.
what.
He didn't go at all. He's like, no,
No.
pay for my college by myself. Thank you very much.
Oh, fuck
So
that
welcome to the show, Jason. So why don't you tell us a little bit about because there's several things in that bio that fascinate the hell out of me, not the least of which is growing up for 18 years in the jungle and then being an inventor. So let's talk about your upbringing and what led you to the Marine Corps, and then we can get into your story.
Okay, man, that's a wild one. But so yeah, as Chuck was saying, my parents were actually like Christian missionaries over there. So
Where
you
what
never believe that would be the perfect grooming place for a special operations type, especially a
Right.
recon guy. Because like, well, let me just put it in context. So everyone's like, and snipers are badass, especially Marine Scout snipers. I don't know why they disbanded them. Bunch of fucking idiots. But anyway, who disbanded the Scout snipers? Scout snipers are amazing. They sneak up, they spend 48 hours, 3 days on objective, shit their pants 3 times, and then finally they get a chance to take a shot. They take a shot, kill the guy. One
Right.
shot, one kill, all that shit. Retrograde back, So
Carlos Hathcock,
yeah, guys like that. But so the difference, recon's kind of different because you got to be close, man. Like the only thing that any of the bad guys should know about you being there is this really weird feeling that they're being watched while they sleep.
Right.
You got to get close. And the Army long range patrol guys and actually the RRD guys do that shit too. There's very few elements in most militaries that are really good at reconnaissance and surveillance. And we're talking about sitting in someone's fucking attic, looking at the house across the street for 3 days, shitting in MRE bags, and no one knows you're there. No one ever knew you were there, and not a shot was fired. And
That's what my buddy. So I worked with a narcotics detective who had been in recon, and he was the one who always led our low crawls of clan labs and stuff like that, obviously. And I asked him one time, and he goes, "We didn't get in a lot of shit because if we got in shit, we had fucked up."
Yeah, exactly. There was a time actually, if I'm not mistaken, during the Vietnam War where the Force Recon guys would go out without fucking weapons because they didn't. It was a very short period of time. Then they graduated to doing,
Right.
And it was kind of while they were still figuring it out. I think during the really nascent stages of the war.
Sure.
But
The Maxall guys.
compromised. So, and I actually read something on this on Mac v. SOG just recently. They're like, yeah, there's all these war stories about reconnaissance units, getting in massive gunfights and overwhelming enemy forces, and they always kick ass, and they do. I mean, because you're that tenacity,
Right.
That's part of it. But those were the missions that failed, frankly, or could have.
Right.
They were saying that someone goes in, sits on objective, or does reconnaissance operations for 3 or 4 days and snatches 2 prisoners and gets out, no shots fired, that's a successful mission. So it's
Right.
it's a different mindset. But make no mistake, every time you operate, you are, you're surrounded, because that's the whole point of reconnaissance. So
Right, you're embedded.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be right in the middle of the shit. So it was kind of cool growing up in that community, because you just had this, it was a given that you were always outnumbered. So
Right.
if you had, 6 to 12 dudes, a recon platoon is about, 21, 24 guys, depending on support fuckers. But if you were doing like a raid or something, you had the whole stack. You had all 3 teams there with you. But
Right.
you would but just working with like 4-man, 6-man teams, I mean, it was that, that's what I miss the most about reconnaissance, is being invisible to the rest of the world and just watching the rest of the world kind of swirl along without you. And it's in the movies it looks really cool, but in real life you got prickly heat and you got rashes and you're starving and you haven't slept in 3 days and it's fucking miserable. I mean,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
And just, I mean, we had deer walk up right past us, and people swimming up next to sharks, and it just, the whole premise was you're a freaking ghost. And actually in Vietnam and in Afghanistan, the enemies, the Viet Cong used to call the recon guys ghosts, and the same thing in Afghanistan. They called them ghosts. They were all terrified of the guys with the recon guys had on their helmets, they had a black triangle, nods mount. And I guess the rest of the Marine Corps had the square ones or whatever, but they were terrified of the diamond mounts, they call them. They're diamond foreheads or whatever they call it, those fuckers, because they fought like they were fucking outnumbered, because they always fucking were.
They were, right. Well, it's interesting because I think at the same time UDT was transitioning into, SEALs, and the VC would reference and call the jungle came alive, or the ghosts with green faces, because they were the guys that were, painting themselves all green and hiding in the bushes and then just snatching you up. And, they'd always leave one guy to go and talk about how the jungle came alive and took everybody, and yeah.
It's funny you bring that up, because that's actually one of the missions of Force Recon during the Vietnam War was to train this new unit called the Navy SEALs.
Right.
It kind of been around since World War II,
Yeah.
The UDTs had been too.
UDT, but it was a different, like UDT during Vietnam was really transitioning into a different, it was becoming something other than just underwater demolition. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the SEALs, I got plenty of buddies over there. Good dudes, spend a lot of ammo and got great hair, but you're good. The funny commonality with recon and the SEALs is that we do a lot of work underwater. So me and a SEAL buddy of mine from SEAL Team 6 were busting on this Army Special Forces guy over in Afghanistan. We're like, dude, how come you guys spaz out so much? And we got to talk, we were just busting his balls,
Right.
We were like, why you never see the SEALs or the recon guys like having, freaking out, spazzing out about shit. Like, why is that? Well, because if you're underwater and you panic,
You're dead.
You're gonna die, dude. It doesn't matter if you're in a pool. It doesn't matter if you're in the bathtub. Well, maybe in the bathtub you'd be okay, but if you're in the ocean, it doesn't fucking matter. If you're under 20 feet of water and you panic, you're gonna die. If you, especially on a breath hold. So.
Oh yeah.
It's funny though, because, and I'm sorry, I'm just jumping around all over. I'm not going in chronology.
That's okay.
It doesn't matter.
I remember the first ambush I got into in Iraq, and the thing that just slowed me down and made me focus was underwater training that I'd done.
No shit.
And and I just, my mind switched back to that immediately, to where if there's just 2-week school that you have to go to that the unit would put on called pre-scuba, and that was just, obviously you had to pass that course in order for you to be nominated for a dive school, combat dive quota, because dive school was pretty freaking arduous, and there's a lot of dive physics and stuff in it, as well as PT. But The hardest part.
It's expensive. It's all the ifs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, during the tank treads, they called them, you swim around the deep end of the pool you had twin 80s on, so steel tanks, but there was no regulator. It was just the tanks, and they were full of air. So tanks full of air are heavier. They're negatively buoyant. Plus, you had a weight belt on, you had fins on, mask, and a snorkel, and you're just going around, your head and eyes down, swimming around. You have a dive buddy, you're holding on to them. And the whole point of the exercise was the sharks, the cadre would come up to you, and they would take you down to the bottom of the pool for 20, 30 seconds, beat the shit out of you, literally, and try and get you to spaz out. You could never let go of your dive buddy. You always had to maintain positive control of your dive buddy and your tanks. Right. So you just relax. You had to just relax and let it happen. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that before in Thailand.
The military is famous for telling you to relax and let it happen.
So anyway, that just purposeful de-escalation inside, just everything's going crazy outside, de-escalate, think, and resist the urge to panic. That's the first thing that snapped into my mind in my first real ambush. So it's interesting, the stuff that kind of prepares you for combat. I wouldn't even have thought of that, but
well, and that's really
intense.
Why do you think, like, for those of you listening, why do you think we talk about you will fight the way you train, so train the way you intend to fight, right? Like, we sweat in training so we don't bleed in battle. All of these little sayings are rooted in what you're talking about, which is practice it under the worst conditions you possibly can. Exactly. Learn those lessons and then carry them into the battlefield with you. Because when you're out in the field and you're out in the shit and you're out in the street as a cop, or you're out in the, in the suck in combat, that's not the time to be thinking about this stuff.
Actually, it's interesting you brought that up, because right now the SecDef is saying same PT standards for all services, no matter who you are, or what color your hair is, how long it is, or what you call yourself, a man or a woman or other. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure a lot of people think that's unfair, and and it probably is for cutting scores and promotions and this and that. But the fact of the matter is, you aren't up against a PT standard in war. You are up against an enemy. And the thing that snaps into my mind is that scene from Saving Private Ryan, where those two guys are wrestling around with a knife, and the German guy gets them down and just slowly.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that scene so much.
Yes. Like, that's combat, dude.
Yes.
Right. It's not about how strong or how, you could have a female, for instance, that could keep up and probably be on par with, one out of, 100 or so may well be able to hang in certain contexts. But it's not about that one. It's about the 80% in between. You take the 10% off the top, the 10% off the bottom, and the 80%. That's what we're talking about as far as the even greater than median. And it's not about how great maybe someone is at killing someone else. It's about how easy it is to kill them.
Right.
It's easier to kill women than it is to kill. It is.
It's also a fucking mindset.
It is too. Yeah.
Well, and also we've talked about this
over here
way early on. Are you all right?
Yeah, I was just kind of trying to talk and I couldn't because I had this fucking tickle in my throat.
we talked about this.
Early.
Yeah, that's right.
In the early, relax your throat, bro.
We talked about women in combat. We talked about gays in combat. We talked about all that stuff. And the ultimate thing that we landed on was, it doesn't matter who you fuck, it matters how you fight, right? I know female cops that I would go to war with any day of the week. It just so happens that they're not the majority.
That's the thing. Right? That's what I was talking about. 80%.
I also know that there are guy cops that I would absolutely I'm like, dude,
never call.
I got 4 at gunpoint, and this guy comes up on the radio and says, "I'm en route to back you up," and I'm like, "No, I'm code 4. You don't have to come." It's going to make it worse, right? And I think about, like, this is not a new thing. What Pete Hegseth is saying, go back to I think it was Heraclitus. See if I can get this right. In every battle, 1 out of every 100, like 100 men, 10 shouldn't even be there right off the bat. Boom, gone. Get rid of those 10. They shouldn't even be there. I think it's 80 are targets, and then the remaining 9 are real fighters, and you're lucky to have them.
And those are the ones that do most of the killing.
Yeah, and then finally, there's 1 left, and that's the warrior who brings everybody home safe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you look at a lot of shootings and things like that, and things like that on law enforcement side, because it's a lot smaller number, you can see if you're there who shot, who didn't, who hid, and it kind of like brings it all about. Not to say that you're a bunch of pussies. It's just it happens, and you never know until you know, right? But I also think it's a fucking mindset, and if you train a certain way, you're going to act a certain way. And I definitely think PT goes into that mindset, because if you're hurting and you're able to push through it and you're able to overcome that pain as weakness leaving your fucking body, and you're able to keep pushing forward, you're going to be a lot harder to kill in fucking battle, 1. And 2, you need fucking set standards for everybody. I mean, fuck it. Same standards for everybody. If you're going to war, it's the same standards, because if that person fucking falls next to you, you're going to have to pick that son of a bitch up and move them to cover. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're sitting in a base and a base gets overrun and you're fucking taking, rockets, mortars, gunfire, whatever the fuck, and you have to pick this guy up and you're a female, you need to be able to do that. You can't just fuck it.
Chuck, we know from the LA fire chief. We know from the LA fire chief that if she has to pick you up and drag you out of a burning building, you messed up. So
that chick's an idiot.
We know that goes to combat as well, where if you have to be rescued from combat, that's your fault. They should just leave you there.
Nah, fuck you, bro.
That's the mentality.
Well, actually, I read something very interesting. It was an Army Ranger, and he was in Afghanistan. And he said, look, I was one of the best PTers, like notoriously one of the best PTers, not bragging, but in my unit. And I was always, the top percentage of guys, the strongest and best runners and all this. He said, we were in a firefight once, and one of the guys got hit, and 3 of us had to drag his ass to the medevac bird. And he said that took everything I fucking had. And to where I was like, he was just barely able to get it done in time. And it just wore 3 of them out. Because you got the guy, you got his body armor, you got his weapon.
Yep.
And it just totally exhausted this guy. He's like, for one, if you were like a mediocre PTer, you just fucked your buddy over. But if you're like, I'm sorry, if you can't carry 50 pounds for 100 meters by yourself, just 50 pounds, you're a fucking liability. And here's the other thing. In combat, when more people die because of it. It's an exponentially compounding thing. It's not like, we lost 4 guys, bummer. No, those 4 guys died, then 8 guys died because those 4 guys died, and then 32 guys died because those.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, it's geometrical.
You when you lose faster, and you lose more, and you can lose the whole show then. And so it's not about anyone's feelings. It's about fucking killing. And I say this in my book, like, generals aren't sexist. Killing is fucking sexist. And it's sexist as fuck. Like, until I see a football team that starts half the team women and wins the fucking Super Bowl against a team of all men. Okay, when I see that, I'll believe that it's, and we're talking about the 10% thing again. But even if I see that, I'll believe it's just as easy to kill a man as it is or a woman as it is to kill a man. It is not. I'm sorry.
Yeah. My wife talks about this. She says all the time, she goes, if female cops show up to my door, I'm like, no, send me a guy, period. Not just for strength reasons, if there's a fight, but also she wants the logical calculating. She doesn't want emotion. Right. And it's similar too, right? You don't want to deal with you want the logic, you want the strength, you want the cold-hearted calculating. And while there are plenty of women out there that fall into that category, it's just not the majority, right? So, like you said, it's not
probably
reality is not sexist. Reality is reality.
If she's calling the cops on you, she probably don't want you beaten up. She probably wants someone that can whoop your ass.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like,
man.
we can take the female cops. That's fine. I don't. And she's like, no.
But yeah, I mean, all that to say, yeah, it's not a sexist thing at all. It's a war thing. It's about life and death, and not just about your life and death, but about those of your brothers.
Right. What's your thoughts on the CFT in the Marine Corps?
I think it's a fucking great idea, man.
Right. Have they? You said Pete Hegseth is going for.
You're going to have to explain CFT to the listeners.
It's combat fitness test. So basically, it's in conjunction with your PFT, which is a physical fitness test, which we all should know what that is. If you're listening to this podcast, because it's the main thing you do as a cop is to get into the job, or a firefighter, PFT, PT, physical test. Anyways, so CFT is a combat fitness test, and it was used in conjunction. So not only do you have to run your 3 miles, do your 100 freaking sit-ups and your 20 pull-ups and all that stuff, and then you have to do a CFT, which is basically you got to take ammo boxes and you got to run this fucking pattern. You got to throw a fake grenade. You got to do a couple other things, and then you got to sprint, and that's your time, and that's what they use. And then they put that together, and you get your overall score. Pete Hegseth was saying something like that he wanted to do something for all the branches where they're all the same. So would they all be doing like a CFT and a PFT type of thing? Is that what he's talking about?
I don't know. For one, let me caveat this by saying the CFT came along after I got out. So I am aware of it. I know of it. I think it's a good idea. But I don't necessarily think, to be frank, that the shit hot airman that's the radar, whatever, weather airman needs to be able to haul a fucking bunch of ammo cans and,
right.
So in that case, I would say as long as you're combat arms, then you should. If you're in combat arms MOS, then I think, that's my opinion.
If you're going downrange, CFT.
Well,
you're not going down.
Well, it's in conjunction with the PFT because you have a lot more things that it's both together. It's one mouth.
I know, I get it.
Well, I'm just saying, all at once.
Like 2 different days.
I'm saying that for me, right? Like, okay, you take a police department. The police department operates much like the Marine Corps. Everybody's a rifleman. Everybody's a patrolman, right? You can be put in uniform, put in a patrol car, and out there driving around arresting street, shitbirds. Anytime, out of detectives, out of whatever, right? Same thing. Marine Corps, everybody's got to be a rifleman. If that's the case, then yes, you have to be able to be physically ready at all times to go out in the field and do your effing job.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in a Connex box playing Call of Duty, operating the AC-130, okay, maybe it's just PFT.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I mean,
right.
and I don't want to take. And I don't want to make it sound like only combat arms guys are important, because the combat arms guys can do shit if they don't get beans, bullets, and band-aids.
Yep.
Logistics is, and everyone knows it. The generals sure should know this. Logistics is what wars are fought on.
An army marches on its stomach.
Exactly. So the logs guys. Now I don't know, but on the same token, there were friggin' 95-pound chicks. I do some of them in Iraq behind the Mod Deuce getting after it, because for a while in Iraq, there was no front line. If you were on a convoy duty, and guess who a lot of the people in the Motor T were? They were females. They were getting after it. Now, granted, they aren't doing, it's a different mission than infantry and all that, but it doesn't matter what the mission is. If you got to drag your buddy out from a freaking burning fuel truck. So maybe the CFT would be something that could
if you're going to be deployed.
But here's the thing. It's not, I don't think it's not about, hey, this guy scored this on his PT test or his PFT or his CFT. It's about when you raise the promotion standards and all that stuff based on those scores, you're basically moving the whole force to spend more time in PT, because then they're all worried. It's not about just your score. It's about, okay, what are you doing? Because you only take a PT, PFT once a year, right? Or whatever. That's when I was in. I think
we did it a lot. I don't know if we just got in trouble a lot, but we were always doing that shit, dude.
Maybe it was once every, I forget. But the point is, it's your median level of fitness they're trying to raise the median level of fitness throughout the forces. Right. So it's not just about, well, this person wouldn't be in a situation where they'd drag a couple ammo cans running 100 meters or whatever. No, it's about the whole level of fitness throughout the entire force needs to fucking go. And I believe that to be true. I saw pictures of Marine Corps drill instructors a few months ago, and I was like, what in the fuck? I would have
bad. It was bad.
Principle, just because if I would have been a Marine and saw some, drill instructors, come on, you're supposed to be representing the most fundamental and idealistic portion of the Marine Corps to these young kids that are coming in. You're making them into Marines, and you show up with your fucking belly hanging over your belt.
Shut the fuck up! No way.
Fuck off the parade deck, dude.
No way, bro.
It wasn't huge fat shit, but it was like you would have been surprised, dude.
Wow, I would have. Yeah, all my fucking drill instructors, my fucking daddy drill instructor, which is your fucking head honcho, we're into fucking your senior. All those dudes were fucking either yoked or fit as fuck, and they would run circles around us. And now, granted, we knew that bag was fucking empty. His rucksack was empty as fuck. But we're on a run, and he's running circles around us. And that dude was our fucking kill hat, and he was a psychopath. And you have shit like that. If we had a dude who was tubby as fuck and his little donut was hanging over his PT shorts, I wouldn't. If you would yell at me, I'd be like, whatever, dude. Like, you just
exactly.
You don't.
I
get that.
Fucking, it's not that it's earned. It's just in the Marine Corps. It's not that you earn respect as much as you force it out of people.
Right.
Grab them the respect out of you. I will take your fucking respect. You know what I mean? That's what I thought of when I was a recruit. Like, I can't help but to respect these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
they
nasty. Emulate.
Yeah, they're a respect vacuum, and just by their presence, it draws it out of me.
Yeah.
Well, and so it's funny enough to go real quick because we have to get into your story, but to go back to the men and women thing, right? We talk about it on Locker Room Live a few times. The difference between men and women tends to be that, as far as philosophically with each other, when men find a man who is the epitome of what they wish they could be, they lift him up on their shoulders and carry him around and say, this is our guy. We love this man. This man is amazing. And we will follow him into hell. And we try to be like him. When a woman rises up to be a little bit better than all the rest of the women, they all band together to cut her back down to size.
Well, the other part is when that man that you're talking about and everyone lifts them up, the guys are like, fuck yeah, this is the man. And all the chicks are trying to fuck him.
Yes. Right.
That means that just fucking I'm not putting it down. Yeah, that's how it fucking works, dude.
And so all the girls go up to the apex.
And all the guys are trying to fuck him.
And then, but here's the thing. The guys hang out, right? The guys hang out with him, knowing that all the women that he can't sleep with will have to go somewhere.
Down. Yeah.
All the girls went to see Bon Jovi play, and all the guys went to go try to have sex with the girls who went to see Bon Jovi play. That's how Bon Jovi got giant audience. I don't
think Maroon 5 ever made it.
Correct. So
true.
Well, the floor is yours, my friend. I can't wait to hear it because I already can tell we are going to have you back to talk some more because we've gone 30 minutes of just bullshitting and we haven't even touched your story.
Shit, man. Okay. Well, I'll try and get through it as quick as I could. So, like I said,
just get through it the way you want to. How about that?
All right. Fair enough. So when I was 2, I was born in North Idaho. And when I was 2, my parents, North Idaho was actually crazy, man. It was all miners and lumberjacks.
Bro, that's where
he lives right now.
Oh shit, where at?
I'm in Coeur d'Alene.
No shit, dude. Kellogg, bro. I was born in Kellogg.
Oh, dude. All right. That's like,
yeah, man. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
bro.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so let me clue you into what he's talking about. This is a like little boom mining town in a valley, like huge mountains on either side, right? Like just this little tiny silver town, Kellogg, Wallace, all this stuff. Wallace up until like the 90s had a functional whorehouse. Like
fuck yeah, dude.
Miners and the loggers and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of my friends, he's a police officer here locally. He said that his old man and his buddies, when they were in high school, used to just jump in their pickup truck, throw a keg in the back, drive out to the whorehouse, and they could each pay $10 to sleep with whoever they wanted. Like
that's an awesome way to grow up, dude.
What's the bar? What's the bar that has the mine shaft that you can look down into? Do you remember?
I don't know. Is it? I know. The only bar I know of in Wallace is Molly Be Damned.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think that was a whorehouse or something, but I'm not sure. But yeah, that was
a snake pit.
The snake pit, dude. Yeah, the Cataldo, right?
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Wow. So that's the culture my dad came from. So he goes out and he wants to be a missionary, and so he's like doing some wild shit. So what they do is they fly the little Cessna, or actually at that time it was a little Super Cub. They fly it over the jungle, and they look for smoke coming out of the jungle. Whenever there's smoke, there's people, and these people hadn't seen any. They probably saw the airplane and freaked the fuck out about it. So
great white bird.
Yeah, they didn't even know Indonesian. They only spoke their tribal language, which was called Bahasa Madi, which means the language of no.
I think my wife speaks that.
Every woman speaks that after they get married. You're like, you want to tonight? She's like, no, I got a headache. Of course.
So I mean, it was just a crazy way to grow up. I'm just observing all this stuff, and he's doing survey work, hiking into the jungle, and it's for days on end, and making contact with these people, and they freaking out thinking he's an evil spirit, and no shit, because they had never seen.
I believe it. Yep,
it's fucking crazy, dude. Like, there's probably a few people groups that still
because he's white,
like deep in the Brazilian. Well, tall and white.
Came out of an airplane.
4'8".
Yeah.
Well,
when fucking alien.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't land near them.
Just like being confronted with seeing aliens. Like,
yeah.
So anyway, that was my dad. So I grew up kind of under this. I like to say in a culture of courage. Like, not bravado. No, courage. I don't care who the fuck you think you are. Like how badass you think you are. And I talk about this in my book too, that I don't know any special ops dude that was going to drive then in a freaking dugout canoe 200 miles deep in the jungle already, going up rapids in the middle of the night with a shitty like 15 horsepower motor and a naked tribal guy with a loincloth with a flashlight shining on the rocks, and so you don't bump into anything with it. All you got is a freaking extra pair of pliers and a couple spark plugs and maybe a few pins for the prop in case you hit it on the rocks, and there's no radio, there's no air support, there's no nothing, and you're paying for all this out of pocket, by the way.
Right.
Anyway, it was just a culture that I grew up in, and we took it for granted. Like, okay, so that's
like, doesn't everybody grow up in the jungle facing down tribes?
Yeah, right.
And cook them?
Dude,
that's wild. Snakes and shit out there. I mean,
yeah,
shit trying to kill you. So, I kind of grew up with that, and my dad was also a big history buff and like military history and stuff like that. So we didn't have a TV or anything, of course. So he would just read books to us, but you read like the good shit. He wouldn't read like kids' books. He would read like like war books.
Stephen Ambrose's biography of Eisenhower.
Yeah, he read like Michael Schirra. The first book I remember him reading was Michael Schirra, The Killer Angels. It was about the
battle. Oh wow, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. And talking about people's heads getting blown off with cannons and stuff. And he would like skip over some of those parts, but it was really great for us, We're little.
We'll wait till you're 7 to read about the decapitation.
Right. And like I had a machete. I got a machete and a Bible for my 8th birthday. I used to walk around.
Doesn't everybody?
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Dude.
So it was like the perfect training environment for special operations, especially reconnaissance, like I said, because you're groomed for that, but I didn't know that's what I'd be doing. So anyway, I ended up I was trying to go to the Naval Academy and fly jets. Actually, that fell through at the last minute and bummed me out. So basically, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to join the Marines." Because I was like,
people. You know how many people we've interviewed who have said I was basically like, "Fuck it, I'm going to join the Marines."
Well, dude,
that's what I did.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
Why the fuck not? Because for me, I wanted to challenge myself, and so I really was interested in the military, and I was looking at the other branches, and nothing scared me as much as the Marine Corps did. So I was like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna think I'm a pussy for the rest of my life.
You're gonna regret. Yeah, exactly. It's fucking so weird. I thought the same shit. I was like, man, this shit scared the fuck out of me. I tried going to the Navy first, and then realized I was too stupid to go to the Navy.
Dude,
that's just funny. But no. I fucking fucked off in high school. I got a shitty ASVAB score because when they came to high school, I did the ASVAB score, got like a 38 or some shit. And it was fucking horrible, dude. They're like, hey, you can join the Army or the Marine Corps. I was like, cool, man. Like, that's awesome. But I kind of want to do something cooler. Fucking took the ASVAB again. The Navy recruiter fucking lied to me because there's a time frame you have to wait. I fucking did great on it. Best ASVAB score I would ever get in my life. Fucking killed it. Able to get all these fucking cool jobs. I was like, I want that one. And they're like, cool, you got it. And then they're like, go fuck yourself. This is invalid. Can't use it. And I was like, cool,
shit.
Fuck it. I'm going to join the Marine Corps. Also, my dad said he would disown me if I went to the Army. So I was going to the Marine Corps. So that's kind of like
that too. Oh, shit.
So you go
the Marines, you get two different types of people that I've seen. You get like the wrestlers and the football guys and the guys that used to pick on the nerds, or you get the nerds, the guys that used to get beat up for their lunch money because they're like, I'm going to prove myself.
Yeah, because it's scary.
Or you get like a mix of both. Like I just need to prove myself to myself. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, and I'm not saying the other branches don't get this either. You know, if you want to join the Army and be a Ranger or whatever, fucking.
No, but there are. Let's face it. There are neck down people, and there are neck up people, and occasionally you find people that have both. They can be a neck down person and be a neck up person, but again, they're not. They're not common as they're not as common as somebody who falls into either category rather than is in both.
But it's funny that. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was gonna say we had a dude named Gunther in our unit, and Gunther was 7 foot fucking tall, skinny as a string bean, afraid of fucking heights, and had to get on top of our tracked vehicle every fucking day, and actually fell off. And that dude was the biggest nerd, but one of the best people you would ever fucking meet. And he was the epitome of what the Marine Corps values are: honor, courage, and commitment. And that dude fucking had the most honor, the most courage, and the most commitment out of anybody I've ever seen. And I hope he's still in the Marine Corps and doing fucking the Lord's work today, because that dude was a fucking solid Marine after I got done with that guy. And he was great. But he was a nerd, big time fucking nerd. Didn't fit in anywhere, but fit in there.
Boot camp, like whatever the fuck the secret sauce is of Marine Corps boot camp. And I'm not saying, I know plenty of people that have been through boot camp and
brainwashing,
whatever. But the fact is, whatever that program is, it's fucking good. Like they really do know. And I learned, and I didn't even realize I was learning this as I was going through it, but like, I know how to fucking relate to and come alongside and help guys that are struggling, you know, or whatever. I have a guy that I became friends with. He's like early 20s, was doing stupid shit, went to prison for a little bit, you know, having a rough go of it. And for some reason, I just know how to fucking relate to people like that, and fucking how to, like, whatever it is, relate to them or help them out in such a way to, like, build them up, maybe break them down for a bit, but build them up into someone that, like, I don't even know what the fucking,
because it was done to you and you saw it. Yeah,
exactly. And
it's hard to put words into it.
Process, but they have an amazing freaking program. Now, granted, once you get into the fleet, there's plenty of bullshit that goes around the Marine Corps. And that's what makes it so good, because we're so fucking pissed off at the bullshit that we just want to kill everyone. So it fucking works itself out.
Just make them angry so they go out and kill people. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wish I could go back and go through it again. Like, I really do. Knowing what I know now, going back and then
that's
changing my
the whole
trajectory.
Point, bro. Is that you didn't know shit, and you just got like smacked in the face with the whole Marine Corps just rolled over you and was like, "All right, come with us."
And gave zero. Yeah,
I remember the feeling I had when I graduated Marine Corps boot camp, and it was like, "Holy shit!" Like, I have been just totally destroyed in the last 3 months, but now I'm part of this brotherhood that has a really bad reputation for stomping dicks into the fucking dirt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it was like a proud thing. Like, I'm one of these men now that has this reputation. Yes. I have inherited that reputation. It was fucking cool. But
can I add this too to the rest of the fucking world listening? You don't have to be the person who wants to go out and learn to be a dick stomper. You can be a guy who's like, I'm not interested in stomping dicks. I want to arrange flowers. I want to be a fucking librarian.
Why not do fucking both, pussy?
But here's the deal. Do not fucking judge guys who want to go out and become dick stompers, because I guarantee this world needs dick stompers.
That's true. And the funny thing is, most of the guys that were all like chest beating, like, hey, I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
They were the guys that had the hardest fucking time in boot camp because they thought they were all that. They already thought they had arrived. No, fuck no.
Nope.
Whatever. Like those, and you ask. I've spoken to a lot of guys in special operations and shit. And most of the big jack dudes didn't make it. Like ask one of the SEALs, like who makes it through buds.
The tight lean
that are like,
Jack,
dude, I'm fucking such a badass, this and that. Fucking first 3 days, fucking DOR, fucking I'm out.
Dude, that must
know who it's gonna be, dude. One of the most unassuming guys I've ever met won the Navy Cross by just fucking straight up fucking killing a lot of motherfucking people. And and even today you would never guess it. Because it's not the people that say, "Oh, I want to be a dick stomper." It's that when you go through that program, you realize that that's the reputation that you have inherited. Like, you are one of them now, and you're like, "Holy shit, I have a lot to represent." So, I love the Marine Corps, but at the same time, when I went through that, and I went to School of Infantry, I was like, I always wanted to like, what else is there? What else? What's harder than this? I guess I was probably my own insecurities. And I just wanted to continue to, like I said, prove shit to myself.
Right.
And so that's how I got into fucking recon, actually. I wasn't even going to go sign up for the selection, the NDOC. And then I was the last guy to sign up because I still wanted to fly jets or whatever for the Naval, go to the Naval Academy and do that. But then I was like, fuck it. I'll just do it anyway. So I got into that, and I think it's the guys who are, it's actually funny that it's not funny, but there's a bunch of shrinks that did a study on, I think it was one of the Ranger battalions. Mm-hmm. And they found that 80 to 90% of those guys had severe childhood trauma.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And I can relate to that because I did too in a certain way, which I won't go into, but as a kid, dealing with stuff that you should not have to be fucking dealing with, the only way to do, you can't comprehend it because you're a fucking kid.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to just put it away into a little black box somewhere and never think about it again and hate yourself for the rest of your fucking life. And dude, that's the best fucking thing you could do to be a special ops guy, because when you're doing shit that really no person should ever have to do, because the best special operators in the world for the most part are the ones that can deal with the most pain, because the more pain you can deal with, the more you're going to do like, oh, we didn't expect that shit. Like, look at the Rangers climbing Point de Hoc,
it's compartmentalizing and turning your brain on.
There's no fucking way they would do that. No one could do that. Well, we can, motherfucker, it's compartmentalizing shit.
Yep.
So it's a great way to like accomplish great things, but at some point in your life, you have to reckon with that and realize
you'll pay the price for it. You'll pay the price for it,
but you don't know that. No one ever told me that. No one ever told me you can't, because especially in watching the Marine Corps work, I thought you could like through sheer hate motivate yourself to be amazing, and you can. You can. Sheer angst,
but you can
make you into something amazing, but you yourself will never be a happy person. You will never be fulfilled. You will never find the good things in life. And I had to learn that on my own. And that's actually what my book is about, is like, after reckoning with all this stuff. I mean, think about it. When I was in Force Recon, no one ever came up and said, "You're doing a great job. You're one of the best shots here. Like, congratulations."
No.
Fuck no. They were like, fuck, the Chinese are fucking out shooting you right now, motherfucker. You better get your shit together because You know, like you said, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. Like, get your shit together. You were never good enough. You were never good enough. You could never be good enough. Because the minute you thought you were good enough, you're
dead.
Yep. Well, that's part of that secret sauce right there. Yeah. If you never think you're good enough, you're always going to try to prove yourself, and you're always going to strive for excellence, and you're always going to push yourself to the fucking limits. And when you think you've reached a limit, you push even fucking further. So that's part of that secret sauce that you were talking about earlier, is because there are so many times in my life, you know, that the whole adage, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Right. Mm-hmm. So that whole thing, that's what kept me from being fucking homeless when I got out of the Marine Corps. Like, it wasn't fucking easy. That shit was hard as fuck. And I'm currently going through it right now. Like, it's not an easy thing to deal with. But here's the thing. The Marine Corps builds you up, breaks you down, builds you back up into this person that they want you to be, in this type of mentality and mindset. And that's part of that secret sauce you were talking about earlier. You know, you get fucking broken down and you build back up, and you improvise, you adapt, and you overcome all of these different obstacles that you're going to keep encountering. And at no point in my career in the Marine Corps did anybody ever coddle me or ever say, hey, you're fucking great, you're fucking solid. That's why they never give up. Piece of shit the whole fucking time.
Yeah. That's why they never give medals to anyone and shit. They never want to fucking. But here's the thing, though, that I learned about this: the war doesn't end when you leave, when you wheels up out of Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever the fuck.
No,
that the war doesn't end there. Everyone knows that the war continues on.
Well, like, we all know that.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. I didn't know that. I had actually learned. I remember when I first realized it, and it was like probably 10 years after I'd gotten out of the Marine Corps. And I reached around and I patted myself on the back and I said, you did a good job. You were a good Marine. And I'm the only Marine. I'm the only Marine who has ever said that to me.
So here's the deal. It's funny you bring this up, because I think we're not even going to get to your stories. We're going to have you back, because
don't worry about it, man.
That's okay. This is great, and I love rapping with you about this stuff. This just happened today. That's why I find this so interesting that this is kind of how everything works out, right? I like hiring in the position I'm in. I like hiring veterans, right? I know what I'm getting. I know they've got at least a certain baseline usually. And especially being in the safety and security realm, I also know that they have a mindset for that stuff. I hired a gal she was a Marine, and today we were talking. I was at her site today, and
she is a Marine, not was.
Sorry, I know, I forgot. She is not currently serving. She works for me, but at some point she put on the Marine uniform every day. And we talked. She recently got for we have certain classifications for employees, and she recently got Employee of the Month, like yesterday. And I was like, and I walked over to her desk, and I quietly, because her boss, her site manager, I'm her boss, but her site manager was like, yeah, she was like really weirded out by like she was like, oh great, and she looked uncomfortable. And I was like, that makes sense. And I went over to her and I said, hey, congratulations. And she goes, on what? I said, you know, you got your little award yesterday. And she goes, oh God. She rolls her eyes. And I said, I'm sure you loved it. I'm sure it was great. And she goes, God damn it. It was the worst. Like, and I was like, and we started talking. But then I asked her how she was doing. And she goes, you know, it's the first time I've had a job where I don't dread what's going to happen when I show up at work. And everybody tells me what a good job I'm doing. And I'm like, is the fucking bar here that low?
Yeah, that's a fucking mentality right there.
And we were talking about it. I said, well, you got to remember, we come from a world where nothing you do is ever good enough, period. I mean, the police academy boot camp, our DI in the police academy was a Marine. He was recon. And here's the thing. When our class showed up, we were not the worst class he had ever seen. We were not literally the worst group of police recruits he had ever seen. But God damn it, he told us that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the same recipe, dude. That's the secret sauce.
Exactly. And so I told her, I said, if I can't stand Pelotons. I see people on Pelotons and I'm like, you all are fucking serial killers. I can't even watch the commercials because I can't watch people working out with positive attitudes and smiles on their faces, encouraging each other and going, you can do it. Bro. You're great. And I'm like, I think Saturday Night Live did a sketch called The Peloton, where all the instructors It was negative reinforcement, and the instructors were on the screen going, "You fucking pussy, pedal harder. You can do better." And I'm like, I would buy that bike. I would work out on that.
That's how I used to motivate me. Like when I was running as fast as I could, I've already puked 3 times.
Right.
And I'd be like, "Don't be a pussy." In my mind, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, you're tired. Are you fucking tired? You want to stop taking
tired,
naps?
bitch?
Yeah. Really, I would like talk mad shit to myself because that thrashing, that angst, it fucking works.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You can't, after you're out of that kinetic type environment, you have to turn around and say, I did a good job. And it sounds weird, sounds lame, but here's why. You can't thrash yourself into being happy.
No.
How you get there is how you will be there. You will never thrash yourself so hard and hate on yourself so bad that one day, bing,
yeah,
hey, I'm happy now. It doesn't fucking work that way.
No one has ever screamed and said, your attitude isn't positive enough.
Yeah.
But dude, that's important. That's why people are off on themselves and shit. And when they come out of communities like that, no one has ever fucking, and I'm not saying they should change. The Marine Corps should not change a thing. Keep doing it that way. But when you get out of that, or you get out of an environment like that where it's high performance and you use whatever the fuck you can to get there, because your life depends on it, and the lives of your brothers and sisters and all that depend on it. But if you're to the point where you're like, I need to find some fulfillment and some happiness in my life, I have a family now and shit, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you need to acknowledge that, hey, you need to have actually turn around and it's kind of neat because you end up redeeming those times when you do this. When I went back and said, hey, you actually did a good job, I was able to be proud of stuff that I'd done in the Marine Corps and never took pride in. I was just like the girl that you were talking about. Said, oh yeah, it was bullshit, whatever. That's exactly how you'd handle a freaking compliment like that in the Marine Corps.
Right.
But you need to embrace. You need to, when you say, hey, I did a good job, and I actually, whatever it is, I contributed to this. I contributed to the fucking success in these combat operations. Like I did good. When you do that, then those things, then you can feel proud about them.
Right.
Years later. And you need that shit. You need to, like I said, you can't thrash yourself into a freaking happy life. And so many people come out of these environments and they did amazing things and they never acknowledge it for themselves. And they're always beating themselves. Oh, why am I not a better dad? Well, you suck. You know what I mean? It doesn't fucking work in that context. Someone that is thinking that way isn't going to be as good as a father to their kids or as good of a husband to their wife when they're beating the shit out of themselves because they're not better. You can't be, and especially as a role model for kids, they know when you're miserable. They fucking know. You can't hide that from them. They're smarter than you think. Then your wife, she fucking knows. And you can't create a loving and
nurturing.
And I hate to use the word fucking happy.
Right.
A loving environment for your family if your premise is beating the shit out of yourself for not doing good enough all the time. It just don't fucking work that way.
Well, and this is where the balance of life
comes in.
This is where the balance of life comes in. Ladies, this is how you help your man. This is when he doesn't know how to do this for himself. You do this. You help him through this. Like, we're not good at this. That you guys are good at this, right? Like,
well fucking said, dude.
We are not good at this. That's why we need you, right? Like,
dude, I didn't love myself until I met someone who loved me.
Right.
For me.
Right.
I read
like, she likes me so much. Why?
Right.
Maybe she's right. Oh shit. Maybe I'm
not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, women, when women step up, they save people from doing
God,
that.
Yes,
they do. For sure.
Well, instead of getting theirs and taking their power and having 5 kids with 3
a
guys.
solid
powerful thing you can do as a woman is love the shit out of people, out of your family.
That is your superpower.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is that, so obviously we all know I'm a Marine and I'm a cop, so I can assimilate with you, Jason. I can assimilate with you, Tom. And the craziest thing was after I got out of my divorce, because that woman was a fucking drain on my life, and she sucked immensely. Like, fucking horrible
I
person.
agree with that. I've gone
Not
through
good
that.
for me. Maybe she's great for someone else. Not good for me. Fucking, she was a dickhead to me the whole time.
And Chuck is the
granted,
first Marine Corps veteran with this sort of a story, by the way.
fucking, so I probably gave it back to her a little bit, whatever. But very, very negative person. Cheated on me a fuck ton of times. Is what it is. I didn't fucking leave because I was too stupid. And by the time I did leave, I ended up finding got divorced, whatever, found another woman. And that woman, she loved unconditionally. Her love was crazy, not just to me, but to fucking animals, to other things. And I was like, this is fucking weird. And like, I pushed away so fucking hard, but something told me to stay with that person. And I stayed with that person, and it made me happier. And there are still times today, because I still have that fucking attitude where you're not fucking good enough. You're a piece of fucking shit. You got to do harder. You got to push yourself harder. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I still fucking do it to this day. And that's probably the Marine Corps in me that's probably never going to die, even though I need to fucking separate myself from it just a little bit more. But there are a lot of things in there that I think are positive, that I think I could live with, that pushed me to be a better person. And I met that woman, and it was just fucking really weird. And it was so hard for me to be with her, because she put so much positivity and love in the air. And I was like, oh fuck, like that's really weird to me at that time. And now I love it to death. And I read a great study by this woman who came out in the morning. If you give your man a blowjob, it will be fucking great, and it will set them on their day. Or a little hand job, like, hey, this is not locker room, but hey, if you love your fucking man enough and you do that in the fucking morning, you give him a good kiss, you get before the day fucking starts and gets hectic and beats him the fuck down and whatever, puts a smile on his face, helps him out. And there was a therapist who said it, and he was a female.
Dude, put your fucking knight on his goddamn horse. If you wanted to be a fucking knight and kill fucking dragons for you, put him on his fucking horse, right? God damn it. You're a blowjob. No, like, dude, I learned the same scenario. I was married, fucking brutal, dude. It was familiar. I am not. The thing that destroyed me, she destroyed me because she agreed with me about what I thought about myself. That I never told anyone. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm fucking up.
Yeah. There you go.
She actually agreed with me. No, you're not good enough. And it fucking destroyed me. That was my Achilles heel. And if you believe that about yourself deep down, and you're still trying to thrash yourself into performing well, then you're fucking, you got a weak link, my friend, because someone's come along one day that's going to be like, yep, you're right. You suck. And wham, dude, it's going to knock your whole fucking world out. And that happened to me, dude. And I met my wife. She is fucking amazing. And she actually showed me how to love other, like you're saying, like animals and shit. Like, I didn't give a fuck about anything really for a long. I really didn't give a fuck about anything for a long time. And I tried to pretend I did shit. She came alongside me, and she didn't realize she was doing this. She showed me how to love things.
She's like, no, Lenny, you can't squeeze it that hard.
Fucking advice and men. I saw where you're going with that.
So, dude, that's a woman's superpower. And
yes,
it sucks that it's so undervalued, because that is something that men can't fucking do.
No. Oh, okay.
Can I say one
thing?
Some
men can do it. Some men can do it, just not the majority.
Yeah, there you go. The 10, 80, 10 thing. Yeah.
I'm going to say one thing, and this goes out to every fucking service member out there, every first responder. You fucking are worth it. And that's the point that we're making right now, is that you may beat yourself down and say you're not fucking worth it, but at the end of the fucking day, you are. And that's just to get you to perform to your highest abilities and highest standards when you're in the shit. Yeah. Okay. But you are worth it 100 fucking %. And the point that we're making with these good women in our lives, because we all three have a good woman in our life that has shown us that we are worth it, and that we are good, and that we are, fucking a good person or whatever. And that's what you need to start thinking about yourself. When you start getting out of the military, when you start getting out and getting into the civilian world, it's going to be very difficult, but you are fucking worth it. And you have to believe that. And that's kind of
Listen what we're doing. Your wife
in a shitty way.
She will show you how to love you, because 100%. She does it. If you find a good woman, watch her. watch her love you and be like, holy fuck, why are you doing this?
Yes.
I don't get it. And then after a while, believe her. You are worthy of that fucking shit. You have to. And I, for the longest time, didn't fucking dude. This I never even brought this up before ever on any podcast or anything. This is my Force Recon Team Leader of the Year award.
Oh fuck!
When I got this fucking award, I thought it was bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was. It pissed me off. Actually, I didn't know what. It didn't piss me off. I was honored as fuck to get it, but I didn't feel like I deserved it.
Yeah.
So I didn't. So I actually never hung it up for the longest time because I didn't think I did really deep down. I didn't think I deserved it. Yeah. So when it was given to me, I thought it was like farcical, and I thought it was a mockery of me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can look at that and be like, "Fuck yeah, I did a good job," you know. And that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. When you watch someone love you, it will teach you how to love you too. And sometimes especially for Marines, we're fucking dumbasses. We have to watch someone show us how to do shit sometimes. So find yourself a good woman and then watch her love you and figure it the fuck out.
Figure it the fuck out. So it's funny you should mention that because when we moved to North Idaho, we were unpacking stuff, going through everything, and I don't remember who it was. I think it was my daughter, but it was not me or my wife. I was unpacking and found my Medal of Valor and my Distinguished Service Medal from the police department in a box, right, like up on a shelf.
Oh, fuck,
and they were like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the medals." They're like, "Why aren't these on display?" I'm like, whatever.
Yeah,
right.
Same shit, dude.
And my son-in-law is a Marine. He busted his foot all up in combat training and had to medically, retire. And now he's going to school to be an electrical engineer. But all his Marine Corps shit's kind of put away. He has a flag hanging up his room. That's about it. My daughter, and apologies if he's listening to this, but I don't think he is taking all his Marine Corps shit and putting it in a shadow box for him.
Oh, that's cool.
And she said, I'm proud of him for this, even if he's not. I think it's a big deal, and I want him to understand that it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And he's like, fuck that. But you know what? When a woman who loves you comes along and says, I'm proud of this, and I want to hang it up because you should be proud of it too, it gives you permission to acknowledge that you did something cool.
Yeah.
And you're not, because we're like, I just fucking did my job. Right? We're trying to be like, I just fucking did my job.
Everyone did my
job. Guys that win the Congressional Medal of Honor, they get the Medal of Honor and they go up and they talk and they're like, I did my fucking job. I did it because nobody else could do it. I did it because I was there. It just needed to be done. Did you think about the fact you were going to die? No, I just made peace with it and did what I needed to do. That's that mindset. But then, like you said, we then can't do the inverse. We can't. In fact, when I meet veterans and cops who are readily able and willing to tell me about their accomplishments, I'm immediately put off and I go, I know exactly what kind of motherfucker this is. He is all talk and no go. There's so my grandfather told me this story. 3 cowboys sitting around a campfire. And the first cowboy says, remember this one time I got bit by a snake and dragged myself a mile into town after I sucked the poison out myself, saved my own life. And the second cowboy says, that's nothing. I got shot 3 times. The horse got shot once. I, led the horse back to town bleeding and passed out on the front steps of the doctor's office. Saved my life. Saved my own life. And the third cowboy slowly sat there around the campfire saying nothing as he stoked the fire with his dick.
Yeah.
And that was the story that my grandfather told me as a kid, that told me, if you're fucking tough, you don't have to tell anybody.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So we then extend that, if you're fucking tough, you don't have to tell anybody, into, if you've done cool shit, it's just your job. You should have done more. You should have done better. There's always another hill to climb. There's always another bell to ring. There's always another, there's always a millimeter closer you can get to the 10 ring, So when we are perfectionists and we have everything demanded of ourselves, it becomes hard to then sit back and even acknowledge that what we did had value and was good.
It's a hard thing. It really is. Because you really are expected to do shit that no one else really wants to fucking do in their role mind. But
and
then
and just do it like it's Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And
Right.
that's the expectation.
Yeah.
It is hard. It is very difficult to switch gears on that. But I like as we've discussed, I don't think if you're in combat right now, if you're deployed, like, don't listen to this. You fucking keep if you no, I'm just fucking with you. But there's a point in your life where you need to come to grips with the fact that, hey, I need to switch how I fucking motivate myself. It can't always be through degrading myself and thrashing, right?
Right.
And the thing is about that gives you a different kind of power in life.
Right. It does. That's the I hate fucking all the new age bullshit words and stuff, but empowering is a good word for it. Yeah.
It does. And I don't even know how to explain that. But I guess, like I was saying before, you can't get there. You can't hate your way into having a meaningful life. So
yeah.
So now I'm looking at these pictures of you, and let's talk about, because we want to plug. First of all, I need to read your book. So let's talk about your book first. Well, I mean,
I got 2 books, bro.
What the hell did you invent?
Oh, it's well, I actually have one patent, and I have several other things kind of in the offing. But it's I got involved in technology after I did the gunslinging stuff. After it took me several years, and I built this system, and I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to go into too much detail.
No.
I'll say that. It's an analytical system.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Lee Morrison, one of those few people who is both neck down and neck up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So then you wrote a book called Finally Somehow Home, right?
Yes, I wrote 2 books. One is called The Perfect Fucking Life. That was my first one. And
Nice.
then this is Finally Somehow Home. I don't have The Perfect Fucking Life on me right now, but yeah. So Finally Somehow Home, that's all. That's basically my story. But it's and a lot of the stuff we talk about, the type of things we've been talking about in this forum is the kind of shit that I like to think about and that I wrote about, because it's more than just, hey, I had all my guns and grenades and then I fucking did this and I stabbed this guy in the neck and fucking blah, blah, blah. There's tons of books out there about that.
Yep.
But what the second, third order effects of that, and what does it mean? And like, how did the only, like I said, the best way I can explain it is the type of shit we were talking about in this. How did I transcend into another level of from bludgeoning myself into performing as an elite operator to actually being a fucking happy guy who's still an elite operator, or was an elite, you know what I mean? Like, where do you derive joy in your life from that? And it's fucking important. It's not one of this, it's not this fluffy unicorn bullshit. And it's not this motivationally, chest beating, like, hey, just think happy thoughts and the universe will make it happen. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, we're not talking about walking around like
it's not fucking, things can always get worse. And they do mostly.
Very much so.
When shit's bad, it's about to get fucking worse. I've been there. And so rebuilding and like the clues and the things that from growing up in Indonesia through 3 wars and then doing business shit and then divorce and all that shit and PTSD and how do you get from 0 to 1 when you have nothing and you have no one and you have no prospects? Like, what does that look like? And I mean, frankly, the reason I started writing this book or writing at all is because that's exactly what happened. I had lost my job. I lost my security clearance. I lost my family. I lost everything. I couldn't find a job. I couldn't do shit. And I was like, I'm at square zero. I'm not even at square one. I'm at square zero. And then it occurred to me, I can do whatever the fuck I want now. I want to get it right. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how I started writing. I would have never started writing if I'd have had all this stuff and done all these been super successful fucking. So it's not the kind of book like, look at me, I'm fucking
it's
a billionaire and I'm super successful
book.
and this and that, but I'm fucking happier than the next guy. I fucking guarantee you that. I have joy in my life, you know.
Yeah.
Found the
Yeah.
important.
You found what made you tick.
Dude, so a part of what I go through here in this is, and I'll be real quick because I know we're running low on time, but what made us elite operators was not, I thought it was what the Marine Corps was teaching me about war. Mm-hmm. If I learned about comms and I learned about boats and I learned about calling in airstrikes and I know how to swim and I know how this shit, then I'll be elite. No, you can teach a monkey to do all those things. What makes you elite, and you touched on it, Chuck, when you were saying, when you can't take another step and then you decide to do it anyway. When you can't take another step and you know goddamn well that next step is going to hurt worse than the last one. Mm-hmm. And you're like, and you take that step.
Right.
That's when you start to become elite. Because that's when you start to learn about you. The more you know about you, the more elite you are, whether it's in special operations or in life or anything else, because you know you can swim 10 miles. You know you can go through X, Y, or Z and still be, I hate to freaking say it, but still love yourself, still not freaking condemn yourself, still not try to get to where you're trying to go by bludgeoning yourself to death. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a lot of those type of concepts and just so it's not just a war book. It's not just a story about my life. It's a story, if I get tired of seeing all these celebrities and they're like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. And we're all looking at them. Fucking say something.
Yeah.
Say something. You got
say something meaningful.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. You got nothing to say.
Yeah, there used to be called empty suits.
For the rest of the world, that's what I'd say. That's how I'd say it.
Well, you can follow Jason Lee Morrison on social media at Swift and Shifty Ninja. Swift and Shifty Ninja. Or you can reach him on his website, which is it's the best URL in the world, and I can't imagine how you were able to get it. theperfectfuckinglife.com. So I mean, you and I are cut from very similar cloths, my friend, because I frequently find myself talking to people about the philosophical aspects of being, I love the metaphors of it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I take that aphorism. I get it. It's easy. It's digestible. But one of the things that I've been on about recently is the ability to regurgitate information is not the same as the ability to reflect and ruminate on it, right?
Right.
Regurgitate is just memorization and spitting it out. Reflection is when you apply it to your own life and see what it means, right? Mm-hmm. And the garden, the warrior in the garden, but you put a warrior in a garden and you don't teach him how to be at peace in the garden. He's gonna climb the fucking garden walls and find someone to kill because that's what he knows.
Very well put. Yes. Yep.
So you can't just, yes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden unless you're still ready for war. So anyway, I like that kind of stuff. And I think if you're willing to come back, we'd love to have you back to talk about some of these things. And get some stories, because we on this show, it's, yes, we want to hear people's stories and experiences, but more importantly, how did it affect you?
Yeah.
What did you take away from it? Yeah. If you're not learning from these experiences, if you're not able to, again, reflect, ruminate, and then share, anybody can come on this show and say, yeah, I had the motherfucker in my sights and I had my front sight in focus, my target was blurry, and I had took my breath, and I did my 5-point draw, and I was using Sool and blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Okay, go be a technical advisor on a movie and have them get it wrong, right? Like, that's great. I would much rather sit and have a pipe and a whiskey with someone who wants to talk about the life lessons they've taken away from being a warrior and how it's made them, a peaceful man.
Yeah.
capable of extreme violence at any time, but willing to set it aside and be a father and a husband, and and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate your book. I can't wait to read it. I'm gonna get myself a copy, and I'm gonna get myself a copy of both books. Because I currently don't have anything personal. I have 2 books on my professional plate, but I have to have books on my personal plate too. So we appreciate you coming on, Jason. Is there any other place that you want people to reach you besides your Instagram and Facebook and your website?
Man, website's probably the best way to do it. And I got a bunch of other shit on there that's not even in the books and stuff too, like pictures and all kinds of fucking crazy shit.
Oh yeah, I was going through it. I did find my favorite picture of you though, because I feel like this maybe epitomizes conceptually what we were talking about. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to share a picture.
I wonder which one it is.
Picture off of your social media. The ability to sit down and just share a smoke.
Yeah.
With a fucking, what is that, a groundhog, a marmot?
Yeah, I don't stuck or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking viewer, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you,
I love animals.
if you were not a guy that was at peace with himself, that little fucker would never have come up to you.
It's true though.
So
you're the beaver whisperer, dude.
We didn't have time to go into that.
I love it, dude.
Well, yeah,
thanks for having me, guys.
We loved it. Chuck, what do you got for us? Oh,
well, I want to say thank you so much, Jason, for coming on. It was fucking amazing.
Chuck,
I think what
we can't do that yet. We forgot the most important part.
Oh fuck, dude! You have a dedication. We always do dedications.
Yeah,
we give our
man.
chance. We give our guests a chance to do a dedication. Who is your dedication? Because we know you have one.
Oh man, I had this really good friend named John Hayes, and he was just cool, unassuming guy, total stud. He would drink all night long and not sleep, and then get up and run, 5 miles, thrash his recon team into the ground, and quintessential operator. Just I loved him because he would get pissed if people got stressed out. That there he is. Fuck yeah, man. One of the best men I've ever known in my life. And by the way, one of the very few guys of that caliber that was really good at being a dad and a husband, which I have come to find later in my life is the most important role that I have. And I always thought that was cheesy to say when I was younger, but now I understand the value and importance of it. But and John has been he was a great friend and a great mentor to me. He has I think John had 3 or 4 of these things. And he's just an amazing guy. And he was killed in Afghanistan in 2009 from an IED. So he's still a legend in the recon community, but amazing guy. And just shout out to him and his family, Shannon. And
well, rest easy, brother. We got it from here. And I love that. I love, there are guys that get it right out the gate. They're very lucky. They come out of the womb both a warrior and a gardener. And it sounds like he was that.
Yeah, he.
I was not. I was kinetic and frenetic, and I had to learn the hard way, and all that shit. So my brain worked way too fast to be well behaved.
Right alongside you there, buddy. And thank you guys for having me on. And I appreciate you being willing to depart from the traditional war story kind of thing and just talk about stuff because really that's what I derive from all the war and violence and shit that I'd seen. That's what I derive from it at the end of the day. And I think there's so much, so many people kind of scrambling for, okay, I went through all this shit. What the hell did it mean?
Right.
Where does that put me now? Was it just a 4, 8, or 20-year interlude of violence that now it's like I'm a kid right out of high school again, and that meant anything? But just remember, as we were discussing, man, you are worthy of the love that the people, and I know like it's hard to accept that sometimes, but
yeah,
accept that love that people give you, dude, because there's a reason why there's such a big deal made out of it. It's not all just mushy, squishy stuff, but it's a pretty important thing. It does give you a power that you can't get anywhere else. And it's way better than thrashing the shit out and hating yourself into performance. So
I got challenged at work the other day. And I know we're still running long, but I don't give a shit. It's a good episode. And to your point, we do this. We like doing this. If it doesn't go into a shoot 'em up bang bang story and it goes to philosophical places, that's my bread and butter. So don't apologize. I was challenged the other day at work by a friend who only knows me from work. And we were talking about the negative reinforcement and all that, my being a cop and all that kind of stuff. And she said, I challenge you to do something that's going to be impossible, I think, for you, or really, really hard. And I said, I do hard stuff all the time. What is it? She goes, I want you to not make a joke the next time somebody compliments you. I was like, fuck you. No, not fair. No, you didn't say there was emotional shit involved. So anyway,
that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. And I want to say thank you, Jason, so much for coming on. For everybody else out there listening, you are worth it. Know your fucking worth and know what you bring to the table and be accepting of other people's gratitude. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram at war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast. If you're already following, we appreciate if you could share our post and help spread the word. You can also check us out and link on our bio on both platforms. Find all of our social media, our media links, our website. Our podcast is available on all major streaming platforms, including YouTube. If you'd like to support us, head over to our website at www.warstoriesofficial.com. Grab some gear. We have some Whoopi hoodies, some shirts, patches, stickers, and stuff is available. Once it's gone, it's never coming back. We're going to do some different stuff. Do you have a story to tell? Or you know someone who does? We're always looking for law enforcement, veterans, corrections officers, dispatchers, firefighters, medics, ER docs, and ER nurses to feature on the show. If you're interested, email us at booking.warstories@gmail.com. I'll send you over to our producer, Dylan, or you can go straight to LinkedIn, linkedin.com /War Stories Podcast and share your story. We'd love to have you on, and you can reach Dylan there. If you know someone who'd be a great fit, please send them our way, and also check out the link in our bio and all that stuff, and check out our TikTok at www.tiktok.com War Stories Locker Room. Producer Dylan's there. He'll be standing by, so link up with him there, or go to the LinkedIn like I already said. And if you forgot that LinkedIn, it's linkedin.com War Stories Podcast. Thank you for the support. Stay safe.
And until our next episode, come home with your shield or on it.